Up next on Eyes on Golf, Matt Every, the character that he is. I was glad to have him on ahead of Arnold Palmer Invitational week because he is a two-time champion on the PGA Tour and a two-time champion of the API. He'll be the first to tell you somehow he got it done. We break down a couple of those two wins. We break down Bay Hill, what has made it a successful venue for him, what he enjoys about the venue, what it meant for him growing up. And we also get into some of Matt's career away from Orlando, Florida, where he says he spends no time except playing the Arnold Palmer Invitational when invited. We talk about what made him such a character in his career. We talk about what he would do with the golf world right now. We talk about his podcast, Straight Down the Middle-ish. And of course, we talk about his new clothing brand, Live Forever Golf. Basically, it's Matt, Tiger Woods, and a couple more players that you can actually see other PGA Tour players wearing a logo of a player, in this case, Matt Every, on the golf course. And Matt Every is now going into a variety of things in the broadcast world, Golf Channel, PGA Tour Live as well. So the man, the myth, the legend, the prince of Bay Hill, Matt Every, coming at you right now. Now we have the two-time PGA Tour winner, both times at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the 2006 Hogan Award winner, who made 279 PGA Tour starts so far, 119 cuts made, over 10 millions in earnings, host of the Straight Down the Middle-ish podcast. And I don't know, are we saying founder of Live Forever Golf, Matt Every?
Co-founder. There's a few
co-founder.
buddies. Yeah, co-founder. They're all in here right now. I'd say founder if they weren't here.
So they're going to be eavesdropping as you're at the warehouse, you're at the office right now. A different sort of life, maybe than the PGA Tour player of a few years back.
Not even close to the same life. It's totally different change of pace. It's not terrible. I mean, I would love to be still playing out there, but I'm just not good enough anymore. Jeff, these young bucks are taking over the sport.
They are, and we're going to talk about some of them. Did I miss any accomplishments for you there?
Wow, that's a hell of an introduction. I wish you wouldn't have given my cuts made stats and the starts, but a lot of time out there. I'll say that, and I had a blast.
Well, I forgot one thing, which is the Prince of Bay Hill. If Arnold Palmer's the king, Matt Every's the prince. I don't know where Tiger falls in all that, but two-time winner of the event, 2014 and 2015. That's where the PGA Tour's going this week. We're taping this the week before, but when we release it, it will be Bay Hill week for you. And you think about everything that you accomplished in golf.
Yeah.
What does that week bring to mind?
Well, first of all, Arnie is the king. Did you know that my middle name is King?
I didn't know that.
The symmetry there. What does that week mean? What is it like? What comes to my mind when that week comes on the schedule? Is that where you're going?
Well, wait. First, I want to hear how you got the middle name King. If you're not,
That's my mother's maiden name.
Okay, so
Penny King.
So it didn't have to do with Arnold Palmer.
No.
Okay. Well, but I guess here's where I'll start with this. You have spent your life basically in the northern hemisphere of Florida.
Yeah.
You grew up in Daytona Beach, or that coastal part of Florida, which is not far from Orlando. So for you, obviously being almost equidistant, I guess you could say, to the Players Championship and to then, the Bay Hill Invitational. What did specifically Bay Hill mean to you?
Yeah, it was definitely a hometown event. Like you said, they are about equidistant from Daytona, TPC, and Bay Hill. It was kind of my introduction to golf. My dad would take me over there. Dude, one of my first memories ever from a tour event was leaving Bay Hill with my dad, and Andrew McGee had just won. I remember. Absolute legend, by the way, Andrew McGee is.
Hole in one on a par 4, right?
Yeah, he's done a lot of things. But just a super cool week. And leading into 2014, I think I'd been on tour maybe 3 or 4 years, but like going into that year, and I'd had looks to win the West Coast that year. I had like 3 or 4 great looks to win. And when I say that, I mean like if I had shot 3 or 4 under on the back nine on Sunday, I was gonna win the golf. That's a good look to win.
Mhm.
So there were places like I remember playing at Riviera that year and being on the back nine. My home course where I grew up was Riviera Country Club in Daytona Beach, and I was in like the top 5 on the back nine, dude. And I was like, here we go, like this is gonna line up. I'm gonna get my first win at Riviera. Didn't work out. I forgot who won that year. But pretty cool to get your first win at a place like, I wouldn't call it hometown because I'm not from Orlando, but I mean, it was as hometown as it could get for me.
Bubba Watson won in 2014.
Yeah,
If
that's why I
that's
forgot.
if that you could have taken a guess there. You probably would have been right if you guessed Bubba. But I think you say that it wasn't necessarily your hometown event, but like you said, you would go a lot. And I know you said in an interview once you would follow Calc around. For some
Yeah,
reason, you were a big Mark Calcavecchia fan. Is there
dude, I did
any
like
rhyme or reasoning to that?
zero. I didn't even know he went to the University of Florida until later on in life. But yeah, my dad would drop me off. And it's funny because, like, it's not like I mean, he was a big name player, but you know how it is. Like, if you go to an event, there's there's your stars, and then everyone else has like basically just family members following them, or wife and girlfriend, or whatever, maybe a couple buddies. So like Calc would see me at these events, and like it's got to be weird for him to have a 12-year-old kid, just the only kid in the group, following him around. But he knew who I was before college, and we've been friends for a long time. I
Did
knew all of his wives. Like, I mean, I'd walk with them. They were great.
did you get early autographs? Like you've got a Calc shrine at home?
No, I never got like super into autographs when I was a kid. I did get them. I remember
Only
one.
Magic players.
That's right. I 1 year at TPC, Freddie was coming out of the locker room, and he was a hot autograph dude. Like if you had Fred Couples autograph, but he was tough to get because there's everyone was swarming him, and I had this black Sharpie out, and he was wearing a white Ashworth shirt that day, and I was like, Mr. Couples, can you sign this? And I definitely got some black Sharpie all over his shirt before the round.
Have you ever addressed that story with Fred Couples?
No, no.
Have you ever talked to Fred Couples since then?
I've probably talked to him a couple times if I see him.
Let's talk about those wins, and I want to get into breaking down Bay Hill a little bit, but I want to talk about the first win, 2014, your
Yeah.
first win on tour. The leaderboard at the top is Adam Scott and Keegan Bradley, right? I mean, this is Pete Keegan right around here. Post PGA Championship, he's playing on Ryder Cup, Presidents Cup teams. Obviously, Adam Scott is doing. This is 1 year after he won the Masters, and here comes Matt Every to take their crown. What do you remember about that Sunday?
All going into the weekend, I think Adam had a ridiculous lead over everybody. It was way ahead, and then like the next guy was so far back. It was basically like, look, if Adam played decent on the weekend, I couldn't catch him. I'm not that good. He did not have his best stuff on the weekend, 100%, and I did. Um, I'll tell you what I remember most about that week, and I'm not an analytical guy. Like I kind of despise it, to be honest. I
I'm
hate
aware.
where sports are going. Whole other podcast. But anyways, I had a guy approach me in the locker room early in the week, and his name is Hortzy. He's a stat guy out there, and he goes, "Hey man," and we both had similar interests. He liked EPL. I got into Man City, and I was watching it, so we would talk a little bit. And he was working with a couple of my buddies, so I see him in the locker room on Tuesday, Jeff, and he goes, "Hey, you've been having a pretty good year this year." This is just completely random,
Mhm.
like friends talking. And I was like, "Yeah, thanks, man." He goes, "Let me tell you something. Every time you get in contention, I bet against you." And I go, "What?" And I was like, This is a weird thing to tell me." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You've almost got to the winning score like 4 times this year. You're far too aggressive on Sundays." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "If you're in contention on Sunday this week, come find me in the locker room, and I'll have something for you." So Sunday rolls around. I'm second to last off. There he is. He's in the locker room. It's like 11 o'clock. He goes, "All right, I got these sheets here. This is how the first 3 holes are playing. through like 18 groups had gone through so far that day. And number one is a par four. The average stroke average was like 4.4. The next one's a par three. It was like 3.3. And the next one was a par four, and the stroke average was like 4.3. He goes, if you go out and par the first 3 holes, you're gaining a shot on the field. And I would never, ever, ever look at something that way. Like I just, that's just not the way my brain works. But that day it did. I think I did par the first 3 holes. I made a couple birdies. It just let me get my feet under me. I had some great breaks go my way. And then obviously Adam didn't play great either, which helped. And yeah, man. Then I won.
And was that the day you committed to analytics?
No, not at all. Still out.
So
Someone to tell me, like, don't hit it in fairway bunkers. No shit. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean,
so just to recap there, so you said you had some good finishes going into that season. You had only missed one cut at that point. You missed the cut at Pebble Beach, but other than that, you had been rocks. T7 at what is now RSM, McGladrey back then, T8 at Sony, T13 in Palm Springs, T6 at Torrey Pines, T8 at Valspar the week before API. So you were definitely red hot, whether people realized it or not. This guy obviously did. Adam that week opened 62-68. He shot a 62 in the first round at Bay Hill and then went 71-76 on the weekend.
Yeah.
You went 69-70, 66-70 on the weekend, and you did par the first 3 holes on Sunday before birdieing the par 5 fourth.
Dude, you do great research.
I just looked that all up while you were talking. So you win that API. First of all, that's your first one. That's your first PGA Tour win. What does Arnie say to you when you're walking off? Maybe he was waiting for Adam or Keegan that day.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of like, look, I know I wasn't the sexiest name to come out of that group. Definitely not the sexiest person. I mean, I got Keegan beat, but Adam, that's tough. He was super pumped for me, man. He knew I was a local. He knew it was, I had guys there. There was reporters there that covered me in high school, Jeff. Like it was a pretty cool moment. I think some of the big wigs at like MasterCard or something, maybe they wanted a different champion, but fuck them. Here we are now.
So, do you remember that year? Did you spend any time with Arnold Palmer in the year leading up to 2015? Because then obviously you were defending your title the following year.
Yeah. No. Well, first of all, the only time I go to Orlando is Bay Hill.
You got kids. You didn't take them to Disney?
Well, I'll say that too.
That's Lake Buena Vista.
Like if someone invites me to go play golf in Orlando, that's a big no thanks. He was great. The next year leading into it, man, I really didn't play that great in between those 2 events. I played terrible. I think I switched coaches a few times. Going into 14, here's another thing too, man, when you look back at things. I didn't have a coach in 2014. I was doing everything. But I walked on the range at the Masters with me and my fucking caddy. Like, that was it. And that was pretty cool. That doesn't exist, bro. It doesn't. Like, that does not, especially in today's game. But we're 10 years. This is 10 years ago. Like, that's one of the proudest things. And I've had great teachers, and like Scott Hamilton's like a father to me, dude. He's been amazing. But there was a time there where all I did was wear this band around my knees when I hit balls, and then I had this little swing thing in between my arms, and I was just knocking down pins, man. And then for some reason, it happens to everyone. You start, it's a copycat league, and you start seeing guys do certain things. Maybe I should try this. Well, I'm not good at this. Maybe I should go see this guy, and he can help me do this. And the next thing you know, you got a million things in your head. And
I think this defines Matt Every right after you won. So you won, then you went to the Masters right after that. You missed the cut 77-78.
That was a bummer, by the way. I shot 77-78.
Yeah.
No way.
You put that out of your mind. That was in 2014. I haven't checked on 2015. I,
Thought
I, I
it
don't
was
know what happened.
thought it was a little bit. Wow.
So then you went T12 at RBC Heritage right after that. WD at Zurich,
Signature move.
cut at Players, Colonial, and Memorial, and then a T3 in Memphis with a 70 in the final round.
Yeah.
That's high variance right there.
A very high variance. Is what side of the bed are we waking up on? Yeah, that was wild. It was a wild run. I do remember Memphis. Like it wasn't a team event yet, and Thursday I had a rough day, and I've sent my clubs home that day. Like Ship Sticks had just started or something, and there was a concert Thursday night I wanted to go to, and didn't want to
Wait,
play
is this Zurich or Memphis you're talking about?
Zurich.
Zurich, okay.
Explaining the WD.
Yeah.
And then I played pretty good at Harbor Town. I feel like Harbor Town you can get away with stuff there. There's a lot of less than drivers, and you can kind of scramble there. Small greens. Um, the T3 in Memphis, my caddy went to like this destination wedding. I always played good when he left. Uh, he went to a destination wedding in Mexico. The next week was the U.S. Open. I remember because he came late. He showed up on like Tuesday at the U.S. Open. But I had a decent look to win Memphis. That year I was playing with Graham McDowell and Poulter on the last day, and it was 36 on the last day because there was rain that week. And man, I played. I think I lost. Ben Crane won that week. He
Ben
made
Crane, yeah.
a jillion feet of putts, but I remember the last round flying one into the hole and making par on a hole like just cut. You need luck to go to your way sometimes when it's the back nine, and wasn't my week. But yeah, that describes my career pretty well.
You made a double on Piers 15 then. But so
At,
you
at
go
Memphis.
you go the next year back to Bay Hill. We're still it's Arnold Palmer week. We're talking here,
Yeah,
and you're the defending champion.
yeah.
So obviously, I can imagine the media bombardment that you got when you got there.
It's
Um,
like
but what was after everything that you mentioned going on that year, you get back.
yeah,
What's the feeling like as someone defending your title and going back to somewhere where you're comfortable?
sure. Well, the week before was Tampa, and I missed the cut, I believe, but I had a really good like Friday after I went to the range and I had a really good range session, and I'd been having good range sessions. I just started working with Sean Foley maybe like 3 months in, and my stuff on the range was as good as it had ever been. I couldn't play for shit on the course, so it was bad, and it just wasn't translating. Well, I get to Bay Hill, and maybe it was maybe a little bit of comfort there, but I put two good rounds together the first 2 days, respectable. So I was there. That's the other thing. It was getting in it, Jeff. Once I was
Mm-hmm.
in it,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
68-66 to start that week.
Yeah, I just need to get in it. And then after that, I think I both on Sunday. I didn't make any putts out. I remember putting like crap that week, dude. Winning. Like
You shot a 66 on Sunday, by the way.
I think I made a couple on Sunday, but like I'm not kidding. I remember Saturday. Did I shoot 3 under Saturday?
You did 69.
Worst 3 under you've ever seen in your life. If they have shot link for that 3 under, I should have been 15 under that round. It was ridiculous how little I got out of it. I remember being so pissed off because I thought I'd thrown the tournament away in the third round by not getting anything out of it. And Bay Hill's different too. If there's no weather there, like if it's warm and humid, the greens don't have a lot of fire in them. But the second that air gets sucked out of the dry
Yeah.
air comes in, and there's any wind, that place it flips upside down.
I mean, 4 rounds in the 60s that year is impressive
Yeah,
for you. Obviously, the scoring was much lower that year, 19 under. You won with, but you beat Henrik Stenson, who you beat him by a shot. You beat him by 4 on the final day. Right in there, Matt Jones was in there. Morgan Hoffman. I was watching the replay. I was like, wow, Morgan Hoffman
yeah,
putting on a show out there.
dude, he's the best.
So you win a second time. Does Arnie say anything different this second time you walk off? Now you're a back-to-back champion.
No, man, he's just pumped. I mean,
Is he in shock?
No, he was getting a little older. I was bummed that I didn't get the sword. Like Remember they used to have the sword pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got like just a regular trophy. Now these guys get a cardigan, you know?
Tough time being a back-to-back champion back then.
Yeah.
I know you did get to spend, and it's lucky for you that you did win those two tournaments. Arnold Palmer passed away in 2016,
Mhm.
1 year after your two wins. In those last few years, as an Arnold Palmer Invitational champion, as a two-time champion, were you? I know you didn't go to Bay Hill much, but did you cross paths with Arnie and talk about some things with him?
Well, I knew Arnie well before I won those
Hmm.
tournaments. Sam Saunders and I had been buddies for a little while, and just seeing him over there through the years. That wasn't my first Bay Hill I played in 2014,
Hmm.
and I got paired with Sam in that tournament. Uh, I want to say a couple years early on. We got paired together Thursday, Friday once, and Arnie was out there driving a cart, and he like drove through the greenside bunker on 8. It was all time. Uh, but yeah, no, he was getting older, but he was my first win. He 100% knew how special it was for me. Like, but no doubt in my mind, he was over the moon for me, and that was something I'll never forget.
It's yeah. Let's Sam for a second. I know you guys are friends, and for him, how much was this a tournament being his friend that you just could tell in him that he would put on perhaps pressure on himself to win? I know he still goes back and he's broadcasted the last couple years for the event. How did he put too much pressure? Because he was a couple times there, I believe he was moving up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
What was your take on Sam and the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
Well, my take on Sam. Let me give you my take on Sam in general. He's A plus, man. I mean, that guy's as good as it gets. He really is. I remember in 2014 he was playing well that week, and Sunday on the putting green. I want to say he was a couple groups in front of me, but he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, man, if I don't go nuts today, like I hope you win this thing." And I was like, "Yeah, me too, man." And it worked out. But easy guy to root for. He's got a big ceiling, Sam Saunders. He's got a ton of offense. I mean, how can you not put pressure on yourself? I mean, that stuff just doesn't happen, Jeff. And
Hmm.
and he's been like this close.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what happened to him on that last day. He shot 77 in 2014 on that last day, so a little bit rough. But he was around the hoop a few times, and I think you've said in some interviews about Arnie specifically. I know you called him a guy's guy once, and
Oh yeah.
there are a lot of legends about Arnold Palmer. In those moments that you were around him, whether it was because you were friends with his grandson or because you were a winner, what did you notice about his personality, and how much of those stories rang true in person?
Well, I don't know any stories that you're alluding to specifically. I'm sure most of them are true. Look, I just before I won, I just enjoyed Arnie. Like when I think of like the greats of the game growing up, you got Jack, Arnie, Gary Player, right? Those three,
Hmm.
or like our age. Arnie was by far my favorite because you just heard from him the least. Like he does, like, and to me, that's a guy who's comfortable with himself. He's doesn't care what others think, and but also like he's just an awesome human being, and that lines up perfectly for me, man. Yeah,
I got one more Bay Hill. We have to talk about one more Arnold Palmer Invitational 2020 for you. Um, you opened with 65.
yeah.
You were the
2020.
first round.
Oh,
You were the first round leader.
yeah.
It was this great story. Matt Every's coming back to the place he feels
Well, bro,
comfortable. Could he win?
the good part of that story is the week before at Honda, it shot like 80. It was like 86 or something on Friday. 84 maybe 82 or something like that.
And you shot 83 on Friday at
Yeah,
Bay Hill to miss the cut.
yeah. So I had 280s there in like back to back weeks. What do
What
you want to happen?
I would love to know what happened.
Oh man, well I got really lucky on Thursday. First of all, I probably had no business shooting 7 under. Just, 7 under. just kind of kept it in, kept it in bounds, made some putts. I was struggling big time with my game. Then and then the weather turned Friday. It got a little chilly. The mornings there can be nasty, man. It's because it's a weird time of year in Florida. You can catch some chilly mornings, and then you throw a little wind. Bay Hill's a big ballpark, man. It's like it's not a dinker's place. Like you got to be in the screws at Bay Hill, and my back was a little tight. These sound like excuses, but honestly, I just sucked that day, dude. Nothing was going right. My mind was not good. I'd be over. Uh, I knew the result before I even hit the shot, and it just wasn't a good day for me.
Well, I feel like you joke about stuff, so I feel okay bringing this back up. But I mean, it was kind of completes so many. You've accomplished so many things in your PGA Tour career, and that was first round leader to miscut, which
Not the
I
first.
think you weren't the you
No way I was the first.
no, you weren't the first. I mean, I think no laying up refers to that as the full Camilo, if I'm not mistaken.
They both went to Florida.
Let's talk about the course for a minute here. I want to get your take on number 6, the
Yeah.
par 5. A lot of people think about, I think, Bryson, the way that he played it those couple of years, 2020, 2021,
What happened to that guy? Where'd he go?
or really, yeah, really 2021 to 2022. The way that he decided to take the approach, try to drive the green and one on a par 5, has made that a really exciting hole, I think. Do
Yeah.
you like it as a whole? Do you think it should play the way that it plays? Would you do anything to it?
No, I just think it's great. I mean, if Bryson, I thought that was awesome what he did in there. Look, you get an uncomfortable wind on that tee shot, and it's not fun. If you rinse it there, Jeff, it's basically like out of bounds because you're re-teeing. And then also, bailing out to the right there, there's there's a path and OB real fast right at
Yeah.
those bunkers. So it's a tough tee shot. Um, I wouldn't change it though, man. It's like a staple of the tour.
Hmm.
No, I like
I,
it.
I mean, obviously, there's things you can do with the tee box, and even when Bryson was hitting those drives and giving himself, I mean, I think he was probably playing it more conservatively than he made people think at the beginning of the week. He wasn't exactly taking it at the green. He was giving himself wedges into par 5s, but he was hitting a lot of those wedges from bunkers and awkward lies and scrambling for birdie that week. It felt like.
Right, and one thing I will say about Bay Hill too, they're not. You kind of see it in the Florida swing. You don't see it West Coast. I don't know why. Maybe it's weather, but Florida swing when they stop going split tees on the West Coast and they start going twosomes.
Mm-hmm.
These greens in the afternoon get baked out. Like Tampa is notorious for it. Bay Hill is too. Where Saturday, Sunday, late in the day, like you have to be in the fairway. You have to be. You cannot play golf. You cannot score from the rough late in the day on the Florida swing. Just it doesn't. You can't do it. So I don't know. I thought it was great entertainment what Bryson did, but I'm not switching 6. It's a great hole, dude.
Okay, what about let's talk about 18
Mm-hmm.
because when I think of I've never played Bay Hill, but when I think of certain putts on the PGA Tour,
Yeah.
obviously 17 at Sawgrass, Tiger's putt comes to mind. But I think about that putt on 18 that it feels like everyone has for the tournament. And I know you were in the clubhouse both times,
Yeah.
but Keegan had it.
Dodging those putts.
Yeah, Keegan had it to tie you. It feels like it's the same putt every time. And Bay Hill 18 is one of those holes. It's a par 4, but every time I think about it in my mind, I almost assume it's a par 5. And then
Yeah.
you lock in on when you're actually watching the tournament, you go, oh right, this is a par 4. Players don't have that eagle opportunity in the bag. That putt that we always see is for birdie. When you finally got to play it, Tiger had that putt so many times
Yeah.
it felt like in the decade before you got to the Arnold Palmer Invitational. How did it feel coming up 18 those first few times?
Well, okay. The first year I won on 18, I kind of gassed it a little bit. I hit it through the green on my second, hit a great chip to like 3-4 feet right below the hole, everything you could want. And I think I pushed it or I missed it to the right, and it went by like 2.5 feet. And that's the most nervous I've ever been. It's on the 2.5 feet. Like because then it's just like the biggest choke ever if I three putt from 4 feet. I made that, but anyways, the scoring trailer, you go through the bleachers and it's right there, right behind it, and they have a little TV in there. And I'm up one on Keegan, yeah, on the
Yep.
last day, and he's addressing his putt on the TV. And I got my family outside the trailer, and it's just my caddy and I like inside the trailer, and then the scoring guy, this guy Johnny, and he's addressing his putt, and I can hear the crowd go, "Oh," like he missed it because there was about a 2 second
Yeah.
delay, and it was like, talk about a good feeling, dude. I mean, about as good as it gets when you're watching this putt and you already know it missed. So good. Um, that was super cool. And then the next year, I hit it so good that week, man. I think I had 8 iron into the last hole. I had like maybe high 160s, just a perfect number and it was a back right, obviously a back right pin. I loved to fade it back then, and I hit this thing. It just was painting the stick in the air. It was like a wet dream looking up and seeing this ball doing exactly what I thought, right at the pin. Hits right next to it, rolls like, 12, 15 feet past, and I'm lining up the putt, and this guy in the background, like right behind me, dude, in the bleachers, he's like coughing and he's like going straight putt like that, like yeah. And I'm looking at it, I couldn't really find much in it. I thought if anything it might want to go left, but I'm like, that must mean everyone's missing it to the right, like they're overreading this. It's like, this guy's a real jerk if he's lying to me in this moment. So I went with the straight one, man, and it dove in the left edge. What a feeling! I mean, you talk about a high. Like,
Was it straight or right edge?
no, it was straight, but just the feeling that went through my body when I made that was like, I'll never get that feeling again, man. You can't. It's just loaded with substance.
So in the heat of the moment, you're playing to win, to be a back-to-back Arnold Palmer Invitational champion, and $1 million+ on the line. You went with the line that this guy coughing gave you.
Well, I couldn't really find a line. It was an ideal putt to have under pressure too. I mean, it was just straight downhill. Like, I just needed to get it going, and it was gonna gravity would take care of the rest. Um, it does feel like, when you talk about putts on the PGA Tour, that Tiger. How come he's the only one that makes it from over there?
It feels like it, right? It feels like that putt
Everyone
should
else
be.
misses that putt. It feels like
And the Keegan putt, by the way,
should have
if you
gone
watch
in. It looked
if
great.
you watch the replay, it looks like it's tracking the whole way. And you
Mhm.
could tell that he had watched his highlights. He knew exactly what that putt was going to do and
Oh yeah,
just missed it.
yeah.
So it's one of those, and the hole itself. I mean, we were talking before we started. You asked when you said, did Victor Hovland win a couple of years ago? 2 years ago, Scotty won, but Hovland took the direct route and he got caught up in the fringe. He went over the water. That whole location on Sunday at Bay Hill is always on the far right side, and he took the direct route, and it just got stuck up in the fringe, and then he had to chip up, try to chip in to tie. And that part of me was like, hey, just leave yourself that 15-footer to the left that we've seen a million times.
Yeah.
But
Well, he
he didn't
wasn't
want to do
agreeing
it.
with you.
I want to talk about a few other things before we can. You had said we could go forever on whether it be analytics or something else. I wanted to focus on Bay Hill here, but I do want to ask, and you kind of brought it up a little bit there too, that you were no coach out there. Your caddy's coming back from a wedding the week of the U.S. Open. These are some things that a lot of PGA Tour players would find unacceptable in their process. But what made you a different attitude on the PGA Tour?
Maybe playing other sports growing up has something to do with it. I know there's other guys that played other sports too on the tour, but if you're looking at it as a whole, I would say 90% of those guys at an early age were golf only. That just wasn't me at all until like my junior or senior year in high school.
What else did you play?
Basketball, you name it, dude. I was decent at pretty much everything.
And so that maybe was it the team sport aspect that you had, or was it just
Maybe, and
being
also the
well-rounded?
cat just being around like caddies. Look, I'm also pretty accountable for my stuff. Like I
Mhm.
would never blame someone if I had a shitty putt. I had a shitty putt. I'm not going to be like,
Mhm.
oh, nice read or whatever. Like I asked you for the read. I'm an idiot for asking you. Um, I liked having a caddy. My caddy forever. His name was Derek Mason. Awesome human. He was like my best friend. I didn't care. Like I knew he was going to do dumb shit. But so was I, and we had a blast together for years, man.
But who was one of your last caddies on the PGA Tour?
That's it.
Will Mackenzie.
Willie Mack. Yeah, that's right. That's
I
right. Little Willie Mack action. Boy, talk about tough times. Both of us.
I can't imagine. See, that's the difference. You talk about not blaming the caddy. I just can't see Willie Mack like taking you seriously out there.
Oh man, you'd be surprised. He was hilarious, dude. Like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it was always all right, let's work on this today. It was something new every day. It just depends on the level of his ADD that day is what we're working on. But I was on my way out by then. It felt like, anyways.
You've done a lot of broadcasting now with me and with others. Not just PGA Tour Live we've done together, but you've done some major championships too. I think you did a little Golf Channel action as well, and obviously you host a podcast right now. So seeing the golf world from the media side,
hmm
how are you kind of looking at everything with a different, new perspective?
I don't think I don't know. I don't know if I am. I look. Well, I see it from the media side now. Like, I really enjoy doing this. I hate the media side of it, though. I don't like the politics. I don't like any of it, man. I thought this was the entertainment industry.
Well,
Uh,
but it's funny you say that because I've seen people on Twitter say like Matt Every is such a refreshing voice that, and I think there might be some people that there might be some curmudgeons that say is Matt prepared for what he's doing right now or something like that. I think that people the unfilteredness and your off the cuff just ability to like I sent you a rundown for this podcast. You didn't want to take a look at it. You just wanted to be more raw, and I think that's refreshing in a lot of ways. Do you feel as someone who watched or maybe didn't watch any golf when they were playing, do you feel that that's something that is necessary?
the rawness,
I'm
or
saying,
I
like,
think that just being authentic is
yeah.
necessary. Um, but I guess that's up to other people to decide what's authentic to them. I know what's authentic to me. When I hear it, I enjoy listening to certain people for sure. Like for me on the broadcast side, dude, David Duval was as good as it gets.
Mhm.
Um, I loved him. Frank Nobilo, same thing. I everything that came out of their mouth felt genuine, authentic, not forced. They're being themselves. That's where it's at for me. As far as like studying up on players and stuff like that, I mean, I could probably do a little more of that. But hey, put me out there. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, or maybe not. Maybe it's good the way that it is. Do you, when you're watching, are there any things that have jumped out to you? Now you see the whole perspective of an entire tournament that you say, I didn't know that, or I should have done that, or what do you notice?
The number one thing I notice is everyone makes the same mistakes out there, especially on the greens. Not mistakes, but like if I see two guys in a row miss a 10 to 15 footer right like on the same side, the whole freaking field's going to miss it over there, Jeff. It is unbelievable. Same thing if like in Mexico last week. I was doing that event last year, and on number one, there was a back pin, and I swear to God, we watched every group leave it short from 20 feet, dude.
Hmm.
Every one of them, they all do the same thing. Everyone has the same reads. Nobody's eyes are better than other. Maybe a little bit, but for the most part, that's what's blown me away like the most is the misses are all identical.
Yeah, no, you notice that, and you start to wonder, especially we've pondered it, the way that you can, you know, do guys watch film, right? Like you could go if you're playing Mexico this year, you could
Yeah,
watch as many you can watch as many of those highlights as you want. You can see that putt over and over again. Things change year to year, but like you said, you're interested in so many other sports. Think about basketball, how much game film teams are watching. I'm still shocked that golfers that there hasn't been a movement to really focus on more game film from golfers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. And I think it goes, I think some guys do. I think it goes back to the personality. It's like you see that Manziel
Yeah.
documentary where he didn't open his iPad once to watch film. I mean, that's just the way some guys are wired, dude. You got, I do think a lot of guys, a lot of caddies and guys will watch PGA Tour live in the mornings if they have
Mm-hmm.
an afternoon time, and it's smart. The closest I ever got to that was one year when I missed the cut at the Masters first year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being just pissed off at myself because I was playing so good going into it, and I was dumb enough to think that I had a shot, dude. Like, I know we'll giggle about it now, but like at the time, the
No, you
last
were.
tournament I
It's not.
played, I won.
You were winning. You were
Yes,
winning.
and I was in contention almost every week, going 100%. I thought I was gonna have a look there, and I just got my what stomped in the dirt. But anyways, that I remember going back and watching not my tape, but just like the Masters and being like, okay, this does, like, just writing down like, all right, this guy misses putt to the these two this putt misses to the right more than left, things like that.
Billy Horschel
Yeah,
was a freshman when you were a senior. Did you torment him, or did you let him? Were you lenient on him?
he tormented himself. Nah, we all did, man. He was an easy target. Billy, as a freshman, had more energy than he's got now, and he's got a lot now still. Uh, and we all were, it was a weird dynamic. Our team, we had a bunch of seniors, and then I think we had Jesse Mudd, coaches at Lamar now. Jody Mudd's nephew, and then Billy was a freshman, and he was a big contributor to our team at the time. I mean, he wasn't Billy Horschel yet, but he was on his way. Um, but we've been buddies. I mean, obviously since then, and I know, like, we've both been through. Life is crazy, man. I mean, I'm 40 now. Like, this is 20
Mhm.
plus years we're going on with Billy. Uh, a lot's happened, but we're still super close.
And this was at UF, where he was a freshman and you were a senior. And I mean, you won the Hogan Award in 2006. Was that your senior year, if I'm not mistaken?
Going it, yeah.
So you win in your senior year. I mean, Billy's the next guy. Camilo was there, I guess, when you got there. At some point, there's all this transition of who's the top dog at Florida. What did you know about Billy coming in his freshman year?
Um, Well, as far as like who the top dog was at Florida, that didn't really exist with Billy when he was a freshman. He wasn't
Mm-hmm.
there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was in the lineup, but like, I wasn't sweating Billy Horschel beat him when he was freshman. I was a senior. I was more worried about, honestly, like Brett Stegmeyer was my 1 and 2. We were kind of 1 and 2 on the team. What I knew about Billy, dude, I played a US. It was either USAM qualifier with him when he was in high school and I was in college. I think he asked me like 100 questions that day. And I knew he was just loved golf and loved the Gators. And next thing you know, he was on campus when I was the senior.
That sounds like Billy. That
Yeah.
sounds just about. Are there any stories you can tell, or
Uh, from college?
yeah?
Well, I only had 1 year with him, but this. Not really.
If
No.
it's not PG enough,
Mm-mm.
um, we can keep it off. But I want to talk a little about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You're wearing Live Forever Golf on your sleeve right now, or
Yeah.
not on your sleeve, right on your, yeah. There's the sleeve.
Wait, where are we?
Uh,
That's
that
Tyson.
is that is
That's
your
Joey
yeah.
Garber.
You're pointing, for those listening. Matt's pointing to the Live Forever Golf players on the wall behind him. You were telling me recently that you were at the PGA show, and just the I think that this has given a new form of energy and purpose to your day to day life in a lot of ways. How have you embraced the new challenge of being a clothing distributor?
Clothing distributor, yes. Well, I'm
Is
not a
that a
designer.
good way to put it?
Sure. Um, it's been a lot of fun. So we've been doing it for 4 years. My buddies and I started this basically during COVID. Um, we all kind of just, they were my two friends were going through a career change. I kind of was too, whether I knew it or not. We hired it. It started off as like, hey, let's just make a joke out of this uh, emblem of me throwing a club that they some guy photographed at the Byron Nelson.
That's
And
the
it
logo.
Yep, and it turned into we ended up hiring a designer and full on brand, and we're doing great, man. It's everything you hear about the apparel industry is stay out. It's brutal. It is a very tough industry, but we our trajectory is very very good right now for year four. I mean, we're doing this, and we're all more excited now than we've been the whole time, man. Our stuff gets better and better every run. Figuring out sourcing, just dealing with day to day things. We're all getting better at, and you know what? The main thing, Jeff, is we're all still friends. Which not it's not all the
Yeah.
time four opinions line up the
Yeah.
same,
Yeah.
because it's not like we all have the same style. So um, it's fun as hell, though, man, doing this with them.
Yeah. No, I mean for the logo, I think it's notable. So a guy took that photo. That wasn't like an official
No, it was a
PG.
Getty Images
Mhm.
photographer. What happened was it was at Trinity Forest in Dallas. I finished second that week. Uh, but there was a goofy hole in the back nine. It had a pot bunker in the middle of the fairway. I was just peeling off birdies left and right. I was like 8 through 13. And all you got to do is carry a bunker. It's like 290, and then it rolls down like 50 yards, and then I got iron into a par 5. I'm going to make another birdie. And it's a blind tee shot too. I hammer this ball, get up there, and it is just buried underneath the lip of this pot bunker. And things that burn my ass are when I hit quality shots and they're not rewarded. Well, this is a full on fisting, and I had to get in there and just hack this lob wedge out as hard as I probably went 10 yards the ball. And the rest, I was fired up. I you kind of black out in those spots. Uh, if I'm being honest. I don't really remember throwing the club, but yeah, I don't know. Little tear in the labrum here from that.
You lost to Sung Kang by two
Yeah,
shots.
played with him all 4 days that week, and that guy made everything. I bet if you, I don't know. See, I know you know how to look this stuff up, but if you look at uh, length of putts made that week, I would say he made like double my length. It was insane what he did on the greens that week. Kang,
I might need too much time to
yeah,
figure that all out. But I might actually his strokes gained putting, he was second that week. He gained 10.3 shots on the field putting.
jeez.
So he shot a 61 in the second round. But
Yeah.
that ends up being the logo. And then you say it's you four guys, being someone that had other people getting all your clothes during your career, what have you taken to the brand to try to create something special and unique that you believe in?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I have no background in designing clothes. So we hired a designer from a very reputable company, and he's been great for us. Now, when I was on tour, I mainly wore Linksole. Um, I've known John Ashworth for quite a while. He's a total ace. I've picked his brain a little bit. I knew the guy that started Travis Johnson. We played in college together. So I knew a little bit about the industry, and I've gotten some great advice. I've picked John's brain. I wouldn't say quite a bit, but every time I've seen him, I see him like once a year, and I'll talk to him for like 30 minutes. But just I want the line to represent, like, we're like 40-year-old dads who that are all involved in this. It's not going to be some like loud print shirt that some D-bag in Phoenix is wearing that goes to ASU. It's going to be sick and clean, and that's what I'm bringing to it.
That's awesome. And Tyson Alexander, who else are some of the notable names that you guys have?
We have Tyson Alexander, made a play for Siwoo.
Lost to a loud brand from Arizona, I guess.
We sure as fuck did. That's okay. I'm going to see him at the Players and tell him how disappointed I am for doing that. He wanted to wear it. I think there was just some, business stuff. Tyson, Joey Garber back there. We have like 3 or 4 guys on the Corn Ferry Tour now. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
We have Evan Harmling, Jacob Solomon, Michael Johnson, a bunch of Auburn guys.
Jacob Solomon, I believe U.S. Open last year. He was in things first couple rounds. Right.
Michael Johnson's another nice little player. Looking at a couple, but I'm that's my end of the gig here. Is I want to be picky with who we put these on.
And last thing, straight down the middle-ish, the podcast.
Yeah.
You're a mogul in terms of clothing and podcasting right now. Well, how's that been going? Working with former PGA Tour player Aaron Price. How's that been?
It's great. We do it myself, Aaron, and my buddy Scott Riley, who does the clothing with us. We do everything in house. Our guests are always in house. Like we had a little bit of technical issues. That's why I don't do this, dude, because I can't handle that stuff.
Thank you for your patience.
No, you're fine. It's fine on your end. I'm just saying on my end, I would not be able to do that. So I like it face to face too. We get a lot, and there's a ton of guys that live here. They like coming in just to hang. We have reoccurring guests like Billy and Cam Smith have both been in multiple times. It's a good hang, this office, and we get some good dudes. I wouldn't say I'm a mogul in the podcast industry though. None of us are like very sharp with staying on top of it. So, Aaron, you want to talk about a mogul? Aaron Price is a real estate mogul.
Wheeling and dealing, yeah.
That guy is moving some dirt. Second best seller in Ponte Vedra last year. I mean, hello. But we could be a little more disciplined with, like, you sent me a script of our podcast today.
A rundown. I don't want people to think, this is we're all robots here.
I got it and giggled. I was like, this is great. I've never done one of this. But I enjoy doing it. We just got to get in here and do it.
Yeah, you had Spencer Levine on, like basically absorbing himself into the couch, into the chair.
I got so many comments about Spence's posture on the couch.
Parker McLaughlin. You guys have had some great guests. Aaron, says what's on his mind. And you guys, I listened to the Tron podcast that you guys did. You had Tron Carter on, which, rare to get him on another podcast.
Yeah.
And I guess, that brings me, I know I said that was the last question, but I have one more for you, Matt. If Matt Every was, put in charge of commissioner of the entire golf world, the entire golf landscape, what would be the first thing you'd do?
I would be like, oh man, that's a tough question right now, Jeff.
After giving yourself, lifetime exemption.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't need it. I'd be the commissioner. I'd make like $30 million a year. I don't know what I would do, man. That's a tough job Jay's got right now. I mean, that guy had the kitchen sink thrown at him with COVID, and then the Saudis. And I'm not really crazy about like saying what I would do different. It's easy for everyone to Monday morning quarterback there. I just want everyone to get along, and I want pro golf to come out on top after this. And right now, TBH, I don't feel like that's happening. And it's both sides. Like, I didn't watch one shot of Mexico last week, bro. And Liv and like Anthony Kim and I were boys back in the day. Like, it still is not going to do anything for me like this week. And it should, damn it, but it's not. I just want, I don't know what the answer is, but I want the best players all playing together again.
You heard it. We're talking right before that, right before the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, by the way, and the Live Jetta event. So I would ask you more about Anthony Kim, but who knows how things are going to be different next week. Well, I guess while we're here, I'll ask one question. I mean,
He's dude. I just read where he's a year long wild
Yeah,
card out there.
yep.
I thought it was just this week.
That's what it's going to be interesting to see, right? How he performs in that first or second tournament, and what sort of form he's in, to see how long that goes on.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, we'll see.
So we will see. But Matt, thank you so much. I'm glad we could do this during Bay Hill Week, Arnold Palmer Invitational Week, presented by MasterCard, as you know. And hopefully, like Matt Every said, we can all just get along soon. So thank you for that. And thank you for all the Knicks basketball cards you've just been handing me.
Bro, I got so many more for you. All right, Jeff. We'll see you, bud.
Thank you to all of you for listening once again. Thank you to Matt Every for making the time. I feel like as I was doing this interview, his fellow Live Forever Golf employees were looking at him like it's back to work, man. But that's the life that he has now. Appreciate all the follows, subscriptions, whatever you might want to say here in the podcast sphere. Please feel free to share with your friends. Let me know if you enjoy these types of podcasts. I'm doing a lot of interview podcasts to get this podcast rolling, but I've got a few ideas, especially in March. Full Swing coming out, March Madness going on, the Masters coming up. We might take the podcast in a variety of directions. Interviews is still going to be the base, but a lot of different ideas going through our head right now. Thank you to the team at Eyes on Golf for helping produce this podcast, and we will see you next time.